Alright, this is the story of Meng Jiangnu. She was a young girl, very beautiful, very smart. And I'm going to shorten this up a little bit. One day, this beautiful woman was working in her backyard, and she discovers a man. She goes up to the man and says, "Hey, what are you doing late in my backyard?" And she could tell he was exhausted, just malnourished, needed food. And she couldn't help but feel very drawn to this man. He says to her, "My name is Fan. I have been working on the Great Wall for months. I'm starving. I'm cold. I ran away because of the situation." And she said, "Well, let me get you some clothes. Let me get you some food." And she stayed with him, allowed him to live with them for a little while. And as they got to know each other, they started falling in love, yes. They started developing a deep love with one another. She started realizing Fan was a wonderful man. He was honest. He was loyal. He was very intelligent. And Meng went to her father one day and said, "Father, I am going to marry this man." And Fan said, "Whoa, pump your brakes here, hold up." He said, "Listen, I'm a fugitive. I ran away from our government. The emperor, if he found out, we would all be in trouble. I can't let you do that. I can't marry you." And she said, "I don't care what you say. I'm going to marry you."
Oh, damn.
Yeah. Well, he said, "Listen, I can't do it." And day after day, she said, "I love you so much, Fan. I'm going to marry you." And every day he would say, "No, no, no." Until finally he caved in and said, "I love you too, Meng. Let's get married. We're going to do it."
Yes.
They had a beautiful ceremony in the village. Everybody came. It was wonderful. But one person in the village was not happy. One person in the village wanted to stop this union. It was an ex-boyfriend who still loved Meng so much. And he thought that if he could have her, nobody was going to have her. So he thought of the most diabolical way to get even. He went to the police and said, "She's marrying a fugitive." He ran away from the Great Wall. And the police came to her door, knocking on the door. Meng says, "Don't go out, Fan. It's the police. Don't leave. Hide. We'll figure this out." And the police broke down the door, grabbed Fan, and they dragged him off to the Great Wall, where he was going to surely die.
How's that funny, though?
Meng, absolutely in love with her husband, started barefoot, walking thousands of miles, through snow, uphill, downhill, both ways, until she got to the Great Wall. She looked around. She didn't see Fan there. That way, she didn't see Fan. She started panicking. "Oh my gosh, where is he? This place stretches for miles. How am I going to find him?" She starts walking. She finds a guy, a laborer, a worker. She says, "I am looking for my husband. Where is he? Can you help me find him?" He's like, "I don't know your husband, lady. Can you describe him to me?" So she tells him a little bit about her husband, Fan. And he says, "Lady, I'm sorry. Your husband's dead." And her heart just sank. She melted inside. She couldn't believe this. After her long journey to find her love, he was dead. So she asked the laborers, "Can you please show me where you buried his body?"
Oh, man.
No.
So he took her hand. They walked along the Great Wall until they came to a spot. She said, "Your husband's under there." Meng fell to her knees and cried for 3 straight days with so much sorrow that the gods above felt pity on her and tore down the wall where Meng's tears were falling. When the wall fell apart, she found her husband's body. And she stayed there and wept. Now, far away, the king, the emperor, was like, whoa, someone just tore down my wall? She's going to die. So he was on a mission like, I'm going to get her. She can't tear down my wall and get away with it. So he gets to the wall with his troops and he says, where's this woman? I want this woman. And he's getting ready, he's getting so mad, so angry, and he comes up to this woman, he picks her up off her knees, and she's crying, and he just holds her and says, whoa. Oh, she's kind of hot. Whoa! It says, you're the woman whose tears were powerful enough to tear down my wall? She says, yes. I have such a sorrow in my heart for my husband. And he says, well, you did tear down my wall. Can't really let you slide. But I think you are absolutely beautiful. And I will let you live if you marry me. And Meng couldn't believe it. This is the man who sent her husband to his death. But, being as smart as she is, she decided she had a plan. She said, all right, king, I will marry you on 3 conditions. The first, you must place my husband's body into a royal casket fitting for a king. Give him a proper burial. And he said, okay, whatever, sure. It's a box, big deal. She said, okay. The second condition. The second condition is, you must give him a royal funeral just as yours would be. They said, well, you're kind of pushing it now, woman. I don't know. But he looked at her face and said, oh, she's so pretty. Okay, we'll do it. So they arranged a funeral fitting for a king. And the third one was, you have to wear black and mourn my husband just as I did. He says, oh, I can fake that. No problem, sure, whatever. So let's get married. So, okay. They had the casket made. They had the funeral arrangements prepared. It was on a beautiful scenery. There was a cliff overlooking the water where the funeral procession ended. And everyone was giving their last regards. And when the funeral service was over, the king approaches Meng and he says, all right, my dear, come with me to my palace and we'll be wedded. And this was just right after the funeral, right after the service. And he's expecting her to come with him and get married immediately. But Meng had a different idea. She had a different agenda. And as the king was approaching her, she took a step backwards. The king looked at her and, let's go. She took another step backwards. Before you know it, she's standing on that cliff with that water behind her. And she said, I will always be with my husband. And she leapt off into the water, plummeting down into the abyss of the ocean, most likely getting smashed up against the rocks. Gruesome death. Oh, God. Yes. But she was forever with her husband in the afterlife. And she got her revenge. She left that king with nothing. And she gave her husband a beautiful ceremony. And that is the story of Meng, Jiangnu.